Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of Nostalgia Bait. I am joined by Monday, but he doesn't need the headpiece. It's George Sheard.
What the... Is this the one you've been thinking about?
This is the one I've been thinking about for 5 days,
For 5 days.
I think the nerves kicked in, because obviously having the camera in front of me now, I think the nerves kicked in and I stumbled over a little bit, but... Monday, but he doesn't need the headpiece. It's George Sheard.
Thanks, man. The hairline's getting better, I swear. That's why I'm growing it out. I'm doing the Logan Paul thing. I'm going to just cover my friends
It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
My forehead is probably twice the size of yours.
Don't have to
backtrack.
backtrack.
I just thought it was funny.
Don't have to backtrack. What have we always called Monday? The literal dickhead? I will take it and I'll run with it. That's fine. Hello, faithful listener and viewer.
Yeah.
Hello.
And viewer now.
We're doing video
welcome.
now because I think people like video. But you don't have to watch with video. You can just listen.
Yeah.
Just turn the video off if you're sort of repulsed. If you don't like how loud my shirt is. Yeah? Podcast audio reference there. A little loud. Okay.
Oh my god, I didn't even get it.
Oh, fuck's sake. We have fun here.
We have fun here.
What are we doing today, Cooper? Why did you call me Kiadi Monday?
Well,
who is Kiadi Monday for the general audience?
Yeah, that is true. If you don't know who Kiadi Monday is, guy with a massive head from Star Wars.
Google droid attack on the Wookiees. That's a big...
That's true. Yeah. To be fair, a lot of people might know that. Probably. Maybe. Anyway, today we're going to be doing a Star Wars episode because there's a lot of shows that have come out or recently finished, or shows that are just about to come out for us, and we are very excited and we wanted to talk about them today. Talk about stuff that we've watched, talk about theories for the future specifically. So I don't know why I'm doing it so general. Acolyte's coming out.
Yeah, Acolyte.
For us, it's in 2 days, okay?
And for you guys, it was 2 days ago. So we're sandwiched in between the recording and the release of this episode. So it just feels right, you know? And then Tales of the Empire came out, you know?
And then also
Bad Batch
finished
which you haven't watched.
I've not seen all of it, sadly, no.
So I'm going to try and dance around that without spoiling too much. But
that's my bad. I said to George earlier, I'm hopelessly addicted to Elden Ring. So
that's your bad batch.
That's my bad. That's my bad, guys. I've let the team down. So
that's your bad batch.
That's my bad batch. Yeah.
Good. Just okay. Glad I got acknowledged the second time round. Anyway, yes. God, this is too much waffle. Acolyte has come out. The first 2 episodes, anyway, have come out as of the time this episode releases. But for us, it hasn't come out yet. So we're going to be talking about basically all the sort of lead up to that series
and promotional material.
Yeah, I mean the promo has been unreal.
Promos have been unreal. I saw a post on Twitter the other day, and I was like, and someone was saying, I don't think any of the other major shows, Mando, Ahsoka, Andor, I don't think any of them had this level of promotion.
I think there's a new strategy going into it. Because I feel like in recent years we haven't had good coverage for these shows. I think we've just expected, because it's Star Wars, it will do well, and it's not. I think we're sort of maybe seeing some fluctuations, and it's the same with Marvel. Like, they don't want to lose public perception of this brand because it's a powerhouse for Disney, so market it. And I think the Acolyte has come at a really, really good time with the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary coming round as well.
It's strange because I feel like we've had a new Acolyte trailer like every day or every other day. Like, they are absolutely rattling out. Like, the short ones, like the 30-second ones, like the TV promos, whatever they're called, the TV shots. But they are absolutely rattling them out at the moment.
And for those who don't know, let's sort of describe what the Acolyte is. It's a new Star Wars show that's coming out as well. It's the first live-action Star Wars show in a little while, since Ahsoka, I think, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
And it's the only one in recent years that isn't actually set in the time of the Empire or post-Empire, before Episode 7. It's actually set prior to anything live-action we've seen in Star Wars before. It's set about a couple hundred years maybe before Phantom Menace.
I think it's 100 years prior to Phantom Menace, maybe 150. I think it's 100. I believe it's 100.
And I think a lot of the early reactions that we're seeing from it as well, which I'm really excited about, by the way. I've seen a lot of great early reactions, and it seems to be very much like this is the closest to like George Lucas's vision of Star Wars we've seen since the prequels. In the terms of like visual aesthetic, like they don't shy away from making it feel like the prequels because it should. And I will say, the showrunner of it is giving me a lot of hope. Their response, I can't remember their name, but their response to like wanting to make it as authentic for fans as possible, wanting to make it as exciting and close and in touch with the prequels, but also respecting that continuity, I think is super important. They are exploring a new era of Star Wars which hasn't been delved into on screen before, to the best of my knowledge, in canon. We've seen
Yes.
High Republic comics and stuff, but
Comics, books, but it's the first time on screen that we've gone this far back from what we already know.
yeah.
I know there was, when you were talking about the continuity, when the first trailer came out, there was a lot of different discussion on,
You know, I'd
is it
forgotten
going to
about
break
that.
canon?
I forgot
And
about that.
to be honest, it never made me doubt, because I think a lot of people on the internet were going off it about it, and I just think it was stupid because it was very like, it was a very shorthand reaction. Yeah,
The same thing.
and
as
it's a
they say.
Star Wars
No
thing.
one
It's-
hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
Star
No
Wars
one hates
fans.
Doctor Who more than Doctor Who fans. Like, no one hates Marvel more than Marvel fans. It's the same thing. Any big franchise that's been going on for a long time has diehard fans from different eras who feel, because they dedicated so much of their life to it, that they have some sort of say on what goes on. And that Star Wars is not exempt from that. And I think that was very much the case with the Disney films. The response to The Last Jedi was very much in that vein. A lot of people going, well, I know this better than you.
yeah.
And, you know, Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, they grew up as Star Wars fans with the films. Same generations of people who are watching these films and consuming them. So they feel like they have as much of a say as they do, you know, industry film directors. That makes sense. But I think it's interesting, and you get a lot of that now anyway. But this whole thing, this controversy, this canon break that people were talking about.
There was so much
It's
talk
bullshit.
about
It doesn't
like,
make any fucking sense. Sorry.
There's a Sith.
This pissed me off. I just
this destroys Phantom Menace. Like, it's
there's a Sith Lord in a thing prior to the prequels. The Jedi have seen the Sith. But what about in the Phantom Menace, where they say, but there hasn't been a Sith sighting in over a millennia, and that's much longer than when the Acolyte said, oh no, guys, what are we going to do? This one line of dialogue from a film which came out 25 fucking years ago is going to stop us from exploring creatively new and interesting shit. We're going to have to stick to the Empire and just do everything in between there again. No, let's have some creatively fucking interesting thing. We can't have a prequel series to the prequels without having a fucking villain in it.
And I'm also not being funny. Like, let's be frank here. We're talking about the Jedi, okay? The Jedi aren't perfect. Talking these like they're real people, okay? Are you telling me that the Sith haven't reappeared and the Jedi know about it, and they have just completely squashed it from the record?
Guys,
There's not a chance that it's never happened.
We have to cancel the Phantom Menace, because in the Phantom Menace, Yoda says that Anakin is too old to be trained. But I think you'll find in A New Hope, or Star Wars as it's called, released in 1977, Luke Skywalker was actually 19 when he was being trained. So that's breaks canon, guys. Fuck off. I can't be arsed with it. He's complete drivel, and it's just like anyone who wants to find something wrong with it picks it up and runs with it. It's the same thing with what happened with Andor. When Andor came out, there are a few people going, Star Wars, it's a Star Wars show, but then that building has like nuts and bolts in it, and the nuts and bolts, they don't exist. There's no Wikipedia page for nuts and bolts in the Star Wars universe. Touch some fucking grass, Jesus! Like, it's not that deep. Just fucking enjoy it. It's. I'm getting really carried away now. People are gonna hate this.
We like the lore. We like the continuity.
I like the continuity.
The thing is, though,
yeah.
it's the continuity in the lore isn't so deep that it can just. It's not so cut and dry. It's not, this is it, this is the way. It's like, when you actually think about it, and you watch the shows, you watch the TV shows, especially if you watch the prequels specifically, one of the major things is the Jedi are so arrogant, they're so blind, that they're so willing to have it, it's their way or the highway, essentially.
100%.
Which, to me, makes so much sense for Acolyte.
You look
and
at
if the Jedi are in any way similar to what they are in when we see them in the prequels, if the, like, obviously I don't think it'll be a one series story, but however it ends, there is no chance. Even honestly, I don't even think Acolyte will be the first time in the however many millennia that the Sith haven't been around. There's not a chance that a Sith has appeared, the Jedi know about it, they've dealt with it, scratch it from the records, it never happened. Like, there's not a chance that it's never happened.
We're talking about the Jedi Order, for Christ's sake. I mean, if you go back to the prequels again, like, I know that it's like, yes, it's coming from a villain, but look at any of Chancellor Palpatine's lines about the Jedi. They're true. They are true. In that universe, it's about, you know, the Jedi have become so arrogant and so blinded by not just the Sith, the presence of the Sith, but blinded by politics and dealings and war. They are blinded by that. They are so arrogant and pompous by this point in time that they allowed like Darth Sidious to rise through the ranks of the Senate and take over and the clone army and then wipe them out entirely. Luke says this in The Last Jedi. He says that.
Say this, and it's
a line about
running
that.
theme.
The Jedi
it's a running theme in the
are
prequels
arrogant
as well.
Yeah,
it's a running
completely.
theme. it's a running theme in the prequels as well, because the whole thing with Rey's like, she reads these books and she's like, what are these? Like, Luke clearly doesn't like the Jedi Order. He just follows it because that's how he was trained. It's like, Rey knows that there's something wrong. She knows that the Jedi are not perfect. And Luke is a stated clear obvious that the Jedi aren't perfect. And I think it's a thing, no Jedi are perfect. So I think all the complaints about Acolyte breaking canon and breaking continuity, I think it's null and void when you actually just sit down and think about it. Obviously, we could be completely wrong, but I highly doubt we are.
But the prequels say it, the sequels say it. Like,
yes.
Star Wars canon dictates that the reason that, like, Order 66 happened and was allowed to happen and the Empire being created was because of the Jedi. They did not... Like, we have Anakin Skywalker who turns to Darth Vader, where you could argue it's like, yeah, because attachments are forgiven and he had a secret wife and all that sort of thing. But because of those rules being so in place and so strict, he went through the trauma of his mother dying without being able to ever see her. That's not something you'd be able to forget about. And you've got the whole Padme thing, the worries and fears of her dying in a similar sort of way, that those visions and dreams. And the only person that he felt comfortable to talk to about it in the prequel trilogy was Palpatine, Chancellor Palpatine, because he was a mentor and a sort of a fatherly figure for Anakin by nature, but because the Jedi are so closed off and arrogant and by their own rules that have been there for thousands of years, and they don't even know why they're following them at that point, because of that arrogance, because of that pompousness, Anakin wasn't able to go to them. Anakin didn't trust them, and that's the problem. They didn't have trust. They didn't have those attachments that are necessary for, in some case, survival. Emotion is good. Emotion is valid. And the Jedi's view on that is mixed. It always has been. There's sometimes it's right and sometimes it's wrong. In Empire Strikes Back, Luke finds his emotions and goes off to fight Vader, and he ends up losing. Because of his emotions, he runs to try and help his friends, and he ends up losing, and that's because of that. And there's levels to it. But the whole thing, going back to that whole point, is like, the Jedi hide things. Mm-hmm. The Camino system was gone, and it's just like, I don't care, it doesn't exist. It's like, someone could just do that, and it's gone, and no one knows about it. Sifo Dyas, gone, no one knows about it. Right? Yeah. Sith haven't been around for a millennia. It's one line of dialogue in The Phantom Menace. Who's to say they're not lying? I think it's a whole thing of like they have their prophecies and their legends. We know the Sith are around. We know the Sith have been around for generations.
They have to
because
be.
They have to be. They have. It's the rule of two, and that's the idea. But it's the Jedi seeing them. But if the Sith are in this show and the Jedi don't see them, what's the point in having them in there? Like, you kind of have to have some sort of confrontation. You balance it out. Make excuses for it. Yes, it's a new bit of canon. Yes, when the Phantom Menace was being made and that dialogue was being added, they probably weren't thinking about Acolyte. They probably were thinking that the Sith had been eliminated for a millennia, but there's a reason they're telling this story, and it's because it's interesting, and I'll allow it. If the show's good, I'm game. I'm completely game to see what they do with it, and I'm sure that line of dialogue is being taken into consideration.
Anyway.
I feel like I went on such a tangent, but I think...
to be honest, it's one of the main things I wanted to talk about, because there was so much controversy about it, and I just wanted to air our opinions and what we think of it, and... And it's, to be honest, it's one of my, honestly, it breeds one of my excitements for this show. It's like, I'm excited to see how they deal with the Sith in this era, to see what Sith, if it is a Sith, which we had a conversation about.
Well, it
most likely will be, yeah.
They've apparently, so this has been apparently said in interviews just leading up to the project coming out, is that the Acolyte in question is... So we talked about this off camera, off podcast a little while ago, because we were kind of talking about what is the Acolyte going to be. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So apparently what it is the rule of two exists, and there is a Sith Lord and a Sith apprentice, and the Acolyte in question is someone that the apprentice is trying to recruit to work together to take out the Master. And apparently that's been said. So whoever the Acolyte is, which I presume it's this person who's been in all promotional material, this person who's left the Jedi Order, who's fighting with the knives, I presume they're the Acolyte, and the Sith apprentice is the one we see in the trailer.
Yeah, okay.
I think the Sith Lord Master we haven't seen yet, and I think...
You think it's going to be Plagueis?
No, I don't know if it'll be Plagueis, but I think there's a possibility that it could be something like that. Because it's 100 years prior to Phantom Menace. We know Palpatine isn't born yet, so Plagueis will have to be around.
I think it's 80 years before, something like that. So he's not less than that, 60-something.
Palpatine's not even
not in the question.
He's not even an itch in the midichlorian's ballsack at this point. He is
no.
like just kind of not existing, 20 years away. But it's leading in that direction. And Plagueis, who knows how old he is? Maybe Plagueis is the Jedi Master, the Sith Master that they're trying to overthrow, and
it doesn't
work. It doesn't work. That's what I'm kind of thinking. Or
could be the Apprentice.
It could be the Apprentice, a young Plagueis.
Can you imagine that twist? You've never seen Plagueis once. Apprentice Plagueis. Like,
and we've already seen him in the trailers. Yeah. We haven't seen his face. Don't know what species they are.
I do say the mask looks sick.
Well,
do you see the close-up? Do you see the close-up promo of like the two shot?
Sorry, by the way, hay
Jedi?
fever. You're going to see all the behind-the-scenes stuff on video.
Yeah.
There. I am ill, but
George is allergic to grass.
I am allergic to grass. What a L Sigma moment. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh no.
I don't know what I said. I don't know what that means. Who knows? But the show must go on, as Freddie Mercury would say. Or as
but the promo of like I think it's the Jedi and this Sith apprentice is unreal with the red lightsaber. The mask looks incredible. I think it's like phenomenal. Yeah, it's like it's like Joker smile.
Yeah, I like it. I think it looks cool. I'm interested to see what they do with it. I heard kind of Knights of Ren, and I'm hoping that it's not just a cool
gives
visual
me like
that gets wasted.
Inquisitor Knights of Ren kind of like vibe, which I love. I love.
Hey, could you imagine if the reveal of that being Plagueis would be someone dying and that character bringing them back to life? Because that's the only thing we know about Plagueis, is that he knows how to cheat death.
Yeah. Can you? Oh my God, Mike. Can you imagine if the apprentice dies?
He could save others from death, but not himself. That's the whole thing.
If the apprentice dies and he brings them back to life, and that's how we find out? How wild would that be? That would be absolutely nutty.
I hope they do something like that. And then there's the other. I mean, just the visuals of it. I think for me, the aesthetic of it is so prequels, and the character work looks so interesting. The combat looks incredible.
It gives like kung fu vibes, doesn't it? It's like
it's going back to that.
Yeah,
definitely. It's harking back to that.
Yeah.
But there's also the thing with the light whip, which is the first time being seen
I'm
in
so excited,
like moving image of that sort of comic.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with what a light whip is, you've got a lightsaber, which is just like the staff, and the light whip, which is basically kind of just flips around and moves like a whip would. A lot of people going,
Indiana Jones, eat your heart out.
Exactly. A lot of people going like, well, what's the point in that? Like, that's going to be pointless at close range if someone comes at you with a lightsaber. But the point is, you're not going to get close enough to get close range if you have a light whip.
I mean,
you're swinging that shit around, hitting, everything.
Have you seen the second Kingsman? Pedro Pascal uses that whip like a madman.
Yeah, well, that sort of shit is good.
Yeah.
And he was against guns.
Exactly. So, yeah. Honestly, I'm very excited to see... I'm excited to see the light whip. I'm excited to see something different with the lightsaber. I think it's purple as well.
Yeah, purple light whip, cool.
Which is amazing.
Did you see the other thing, though? Did you see the other thing that was mentioned recently is that...
No.
There has been confirmed, apparently. I've seen the interview segment where the showrunner said that there is a new other type of lightsaber in this show other than the light whip, which they said specifically. That's in this show that they had to really try to make work, and they had to like really kind of campaign for it to be allowed in the show, and they allowed it, and it is in the show.
Okay.
Any theories as to what that could be? As someone who's a bit of a sort of Star Wars lightsaber nerd, which I know you are.
My first go-to is a staff. A two-handed, long handle, short-bladed.
Okay.
Because I believe they're in... I believe if you go far enough back to like the Old Republic, there's some imagery of like a light staff.
Okay, I like
the light staff's the first one that I go for. Like a long two-handed, like a pole arm. Like a spear, basically. It's like a long handle with the lightsaber bit on the end.
Yeah, like a sort of light spear. I like that. That's a cool idea. I don't know how practical that would be.
I mean, it's like it'd be practical. It's fighting at long range. You keep them at range.
Sure, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I know, it's a cool visual.
Yeah, it's like a pole arm, like fighting with a pole arm at distance. It's like...
I'm trying to think about what else
that's the first thing that I go for.
We've had double-sided. We've had cross-guard.
Yeah.
We've had a light whip now.
Yeah, now we have
various different colours. I'm expecting...
Because cross-guard's a big one in that era, in High Republic. There's a lot of people with... Because have you seen the cross-guards in High Republic? Instead of being just a pole and then like a T shape, they have like a connector, like a cool like insignia for the High Republic. They look really cool. So we could see crossguard, but obviously it's not the new one. My guess is
could be good to see, you know.
Yeah, because I think one of the main characters in the books has a yellow crossguard, which is very cool.
That's very cool. I can't wait to go. We're gonna see yellow lightsabers and all different colours as well.
That original shot with them all in the woods, and they all pull their lightsabers out, and you just have every colour.
That's
yellow,
great.
purple, blue, green, all of them. It's amazing. That. Yeah. My guess is staff, spear, light spear.
Staff or spear is a good one that I hadn't thought about. I'm trying to think what else they'd be able to do with the lightsaber that they haven't done at this point.
Because obviously you've had Ezra's gun lightsaber.
That's
his original
true. Not in live action, no. I don't know
no, not in live action. But if you're saying it's brand new, then it's something completely different also.
I don't know if that was the exact quote, but it is something new, I think, for maybe live action or something.
So it could be the blaster. Could be the blaster.
Yeah, or maybe not. I don't know if that's a
But
bit
then why would they have to campaign for it so much?
I don't know. Interesting though, isn't it? I think that's it raises interesting questions. But I'm buzzing for this. I think Acolyte is one of those ones where I'm like,
unless it's like the daggers, she's got the daggers, some sort of light dagger or like kunai kind of thing.
That'd be cool, like sort of small scale,
or like a Ahsoka's Shoto, but even smaller.
Throwing like daggers, like throwing them and then like forcing them back up, and
something like that. Yeah,
I'm excited though. I think there's a lot of exciting stuff about this. I think for me, what's your most anticipated thing going into this? Because for me, Sith. Lore.
Mine.
I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I think mine's that. I'm excited to. I think the thing I'm most excited about is a new era.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the portrayal. I'm excited to see all. One of the things what I'm potentially most excited about is seeing all the connections to stuff that's already in the High Republic, like characters like the Light Whip, hearing from people who've read the High Republic books and see how well it connects to those books, because it's quite a distance after the books. But I think with them being crossovers, with this character like the Light Whip, there's going to have to be things. I love the aesthetic. I love the gold. I love the white. I think it looks beautiful. I'm most excited to see how it connects and brings this whole new era, whether it references, because there's major events that happen in the High Republic books, and I'm excited to see how, if they mention them, how they're brought about.
It's going to be later on, isn't it? So
it is. It's because obviously the girl's the Light Whip. She's a Padawan in the.
Yeah, I think they wanted the Acolyte to be separate from it, just in the same era, but separate from the story of the comics, so it doesn't have to rely on any prior knowledge going into it, which I love.
Yeah, which I think is great. But it's I love that, but I'm also excited to see how it connects, because I feel like it will have.
I just think I look at it and I'm like, it looks incredible. This show.
Yeah.
I have been sort of up and down critical of recent Star Wars shows. I wear that on my sleeve a little bit. Some stuff is good, but I don't like others. I'm not going to say it. I can't do it every episode.
I was waiting for it.
But no, I was actually going to rat on Obi-Wan Kenobi this episode.
Fair enough. Is that your choice today?
Well, there's not many bad Star Wars shows.
Fair.
No, fuck it. No, actually, no, I'm not going to do it. No, I think Ahsoka's fine, right? In terms of how it looks, Ahsoka's great. I don't have any problems with how Ahsoka looks, actually. I think it looks really nice, and I think my only criticism with how Disney do stuff in terms of production and visuals are the lightsabers, and I think I've heard anyway that with Acolyte they've actually fixed that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Which fills me with so much hope. One thing I've hated about Star Wars in recent years is the lightsabers, and it is a problem in Ahsoka. It's a problem in everything. It's a problem in the films as well to an extent. So the lightsabers in the prequels, right? You feel like you can. I see. Right. This is a bit of a. I do this all the time where I'm just kind of going off topic a little bit, right? Yeah. But I've recently been watching Game of Thrones for the first time.
Oh my god, same.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Where are you up to?
Halfway through season 2.
Oh, I've just finished season 2 today.
Oh, I'm with my girlfriend, so...
so am I, mate. Yeah, okay. Not a flex, competition.
Well, no, because I'm saying I'm slowed down because me and my girlfriend don't see each other very often at the moment, so I'm further behind. I'm slow. But yeah, go. I can agree with what you're saying now.
So what I'm going to say is Game of Thrones is sort of gratuitously violent. Is that the word? Fuck knows. But it is completely just off, balls to the wall, just slicing through people's heads and stuff. And it's violent, right? And it's horrible. But in Game of Thrones, you feel like when someone pulls out a sword, some shit's going to go down, right?
Yeah.
With Star Wars at the minute, the prequels used to be someone pulls out a lightsaber, you're like, oh, someone's getting some shit cut off here. Arms, legs, head, Count Dooku, R.I.P., King. Yeah. But in Disney Star Wars stuff, recently, it feels like baseball bats. They don't feel that they have any weight.
100%.
And you know what disappointed me the most? And I will bring up Ahsoka, but I think this is a very valid point, and I'd be surprised if you don't agree with this almost, because it's...
I think I know what you're going to say, and I'm pretty sure I will.
So Ahsoka brought in the zombie stormtroopers,
Yeah.
which is a great idea, right? And for the first time I thought, finally, we're going to see the lightsabers just chopping through people, ripping them to bits. Amazing. And we don't.
Yeah. Oh, I fully agree with this.
They like, hit the stormtroopers, the zombie stormtroopers, and they just sort of bounce back, and it goes. They sort of have like a sort of gash on them, but it's not like they've actually. I don't feel like they're cutting through. I feel like the lightsabers are doing less than they used to, and that's the one thing. I don't know. They look shit.
And if you think about like prequels, what you were saying before, and I know it's slightly different with it being CGI, but if you think about the droids, when they used to just slice through droids, just waves, like you think about the corridor scenes where Anakin and Obi-Wan
That's what made me love the
lightsabers
lightsabers when I was a kid. That was what's so fascinating, is that they were actual weapons, you know?
Yeah.
And they were used for peace. That's the thing. They don't use them to just hack people to bits. But that's when it's scary, is when someone pulls out a lightsaber who means shit. You're like, oh God, something's going to happen here. And that's what's exciting about it. And I think with recent ones, not only does it feel like it has less presence, but it also looks like it has less presence. At one point in time would actually... So the lightsabers in the old days used to be sort of like reflective tape.
Yeah, they used to be
and
metal
they'd shine a light on it,
Yeah.
and it would sort of shimmer. In the prequels, it was like almost all CGI over a stick. And then in the sequels, they invested in the technology where they have these like actual like light pulls so that they can have the light reflecting on set. The problem is... now with the Disney Star Wars projects, especially like Obi-Wan Kenobi, for example, I feel like the lightsabers just look like cosplay lightsabers.
I think the Obi-Wan ones did. I think Ahsoka was slightly better. I don't know if it used the same technology.
Ahsoka was better, but still
Obi-Wan,
not quite there.
Yeah, I fully get it. Yeah.
But I think Acolyte, from what I've seen, looks like the prequel lightsabers and actually fills with a lot more excitement. It should glow. It should be too bright to be able to be seen on camera. If I can conceive of a lightsaber in camera, in terms of like it looking, I could see almost like a shell around
You've got to have that bleed on the edge. Like you can't see. You've always got to have the bleed around. Like if you think about the original ones, like episode 4 ones, the bleed around the edges, you've got to have it. Like and I know it's completely different technology now, but
if they've got better technology, they should be able to capture something we had 25 years ago.
Yeah.
We can't for some reason. But I'm hoping Acolyte changes that, and I'm hoping they learn as they go through. It's like. It's the same thing with the volume, right? It's technology in the modern world. Lucasfilm and, by extension, ILM are incredible and have so much history in cinema in terms of what they make, in terms of the practical effects and how they do things. It's phenomenal stuff. And visual effects, sorry, CGI as well. Phenomenal part of the film industry and a massive part of film history. But I think they're learning as well, and they always establish new things. The first time the volume I think was ever used was for Mando Season 1. It was a complete reinvention of green screen technology. It was a complete reinvention of doing things in that conventional way. Completely groundbreaking, right? And in Season 1 of Mandalorian, they had Greg Fraser as a DP who was incredible. I mean, he's since done Dune, he's since done The Batman, where he's used the volume or similar technology in different instances for that. And now we have knockoffs of the volume that are sort of similar. Doctor Who has just released an episode which uses a sort of volume-like LED screen technology for the first time. And it looks great. But the problem you have is, again, Obi-Wan Kenobi, less so Ahsoka. I'm not going to criticize Ahsoka here, but Obi-Wan Kenobi, Mando Series 3, you can tell they're using the same technology, but it's not used as well. And this is the thing: you have to be able to tell with the volume. You can't just use it for everything. It can't be in replacement of an existing thing. That's what they did with green screen. And ILM again massively paving the way in the prequels for visual effects and technology in that sense. But the prequels relied on it too much. Incredible achievements, like the first ever fully CGI characters in Jar Jar Binks and the Gungans. Droids look incredible. Even 25 years on, they look great. A few little hiccups here and there. But what did they do for Attack of the Clones? They took away the practical elements and made every set green screen CGI. Yeah. And Attack of the Clones looks worse than Phantom Menace. If you look at them, people generalize with the prequels, but I think actually look at Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace, they had practical sets on Tatooine. They built that. They built that, and they had practical sets for Naboo. They had practical sets for different areas in the forest in Naboo at the beginning. There's lots of different elements that are also CGI, but not as much. Whereas in Episode 2, you've got Camino, the Jedi Temple, Droid Factory.
Well, even if you look behind the
Geonosian thing, and the Geonosian thing was built, and it was like a miniature, but for the most part, again, just big CGI, and you could just tell.
even for Revenge of the Sith though as well, like, have you seen the interview with Ewan McGregor where he talks about the last scene from Revenge of the Sith when he's dropping off Luke at the farm?
Yeah.
And he was on a blue desk in a completely blue surrounding, and George was like, okay, you're on this desert, you're on Tatooine, you're on the sand planet, you're riding this creature that's like a cow, like a camel, we need you to do the movement. So he gets on this like hump thing, does like the movement, and then climbs off of it, and then has to walk to someone who's not even there, hand over this child, walk back. It's like you don't know what anything is, you don't know any positioning. Like, Mando season 1 is perfect. It just looks beautiful. And Mando season 1, I feel like it's compared to the other 2 seasons, you don't feel like it's in the volume or it's with CGI.
It's because with the season 1, it was Greg Fraser who kind of came up with that technology and kind of helped alongside that with ILM and helped conceive of it. He knew what to do with it, and he uses it really well in the Batman. He uses it really well. I don't know if he's used it in Dune, but he's used it really well in other projects that he's done. But they've got this technology, and it's sort of like, then it's like, once it works, studio execs go, we'll just use it for everything. And you can't.
Yeah.
You look at like Mando Series 3, for example, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi. Compare those to Andor in terms of visual.
Oh, it's not even, but
Andor
I think,
uses mostly practical sets. I don't think Andor uses the volume at all.
I don't
and it
think
is
so, no.
incredible. It looks genuinely stunning. One of the nicest looking Star Wars projects in years. It feels grand. The scale is huge. They filmed in the Scottish Highlands for 3 episodes, and it looks incredible. You could just tell how amazing it looks because a lot of it's practical and a lot of it's there. And the volume is great when used well. I'm not saying it's bad. I think it's a brilliant bit of technology, but it needs to be used sparingly and in specific circumstances with a good DP behind it that understands the technology and how to use it. You can't use it for every scene. Creating alien vistas, helping the actors understand where they are, what's happening in a scene, great. But don't use it for everything because you can tell it's a screen, you can tell the actors are standing in like a small little 360 room. If you can tell the actors are sort of working in a sort of small environment and they can't break out of that environment, then there's something wrong.
I think it's similar with like Acto. Acto is so grand and so beautiful.
Yeah, in The Last Jedi.
It was,
It's a real island. It's a real island. Skellig Michael in Ireland. And it's gorgeous place. You wouldn't do that on the volume. You couldn't do that on the volume, but it saves money. It saves money for Lucasfilm, and Disney, and they're not going to want to spend it all the time. They've got this new technology. Why wouldn't you use it? But this is why. And then you get Andor does really well, so it sort of confuses execs, and they go, well, maybe we shouldn't be using it all the time, and they have to balance things out. And I'm hoping the Acolyte is another Andor in that respect. I'm hoping, I don't know how much they've used the volume, but for everything I've seen in the trailers, it looks incredible. Big, grand CGI shots for Coruscant. Yes, as they should be. The Jedi Temple should be grand and somewhat CGI because it's too inconceivably big to show on camera in practical sets. But if they're in a woods, put them in a woods. Don't use a fucking screen and pretend they're in a woods. Put them in a woods. And it looks like they have, because I don't think you could probably fit like 10 Jedi and 1 Sith on in like a little
with a massive fight scene in the volume. There's not a chance. But even like on like the stony planet that we were talking about that we thought might be Acto, like that doesn't like that reminds me like it reminds you of Acto because it's I assume they've gone well they must have because there's someone standing in the distance in it, so it's obviously practical. So
there's ways to make it. Like, if you can't tell, it doesn't matter for me. It's like as long as it looks good. But I think recently you'd be able to tell when things don't look good. And that's what upsets me, I think, the most, is that when I can see that and I can notice that, I'm a bit like, I could tell they've used the volume here, and it's just sort of, it just shows.
Yeah, it's, use it in moderation. That's the takeaway from it. I think, I still think Mando Season 1 is one of the best looking Star Wars projects we've had.
Oh,
easily.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
and I think
it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, but I think it'll age as we get used to knowing what the technology is, but it looks incredible. I think Andor is one of the nicest looking Star Wars projects. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah. I've seen like half of it, I think. I know. I don't
it's there. It's asking for it. But yeah, Andor, watch it.
Do you know what? Once I'm done with uni, I'm going to just spend, and I'm going to get through everything I've not seen. I'm going to go through them all.
You should.
Once I'm done, I'm
Once
back
upon
at
a
home.
time, Cooper, I'd only seen the films.
That's fair,
and you were like, you have to watch Clone Wars.
That's true.
You have to watch Clone Wars. And then I did. You know what I did? I sat down in COVID, which is a fair time to do it, and I watched everything in Star Wars canon in order.
There you go.
I watched Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, all of Clone Wars, then Episode 3, then like Solo, then all of Rebels, 4, 5, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9.
I'd not seen Solo till last year, so
We watched that together, no?
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The first
Last year
time.
I saw Solo.
I forgot that we did that. I wish we'd done a commentary for that. If we'd known.
I know. If only we'd known what beauty we would have birthed a year later.
Man.
That's what I'm saying. When we did the original Star Wars episode, I was like, on paper, I'm not a true Star Wars fan. Like, I've not seen everything. I don't watch everything as it releases.
You have the potential
But-
to be, though.
No, hang on. You did not say that when we did it originally. Don't backtrack here. You said, and I will quote, that I get the title of Star Wars fan due to how I used to be. About my knowledge of how when I became obsessed with it, I knew the entire story.
I forgot I
all
said
the
that.
lightsaber techniques.
I forgot I said that. Yeah.
Clip it. Get the clip.
Yeah,
whereas-
okay. I'll take that back. I was going to make a little...
And I will.
I was going to make
I
a
will
joke out of it.
regain-
But, you know,
I will
bro wants to
regain-
die on the hill. That's fine.
I will regain that title. I will transcend.
He has the potential. He has the midichlorian count
I
to
do.
be
I have the
successful.
midichlorian codes.
But I never. I mean, I watched the films as a kid. I loved them. I played the games. Loved them. Playing Lego Star Wars Complete Saga at the minute again. Of course, I am. I play it once every 2 years, to completion, 100%. Obviously, I love
Standard.
it. I love that game so much, and it gives me that sort of nostalgic feeling. I almost impulsively bought a Star Wars Lego set yesterday. I am a Star Wars fan.
Have you seen the new Ahsoka set that's out in the Lego store?
See, I'm a bit of a prick when
Which
it
one
comes
did you
to Lego.
almost buy?
See, right, let me explain this. So, I'm a bit of a prick when it comes to Lego.
Okay.
I am a bit of a... I don't know. Would I call myself pompous? Probably. I think that I can't buy a set now. Unless it's like a small, cheap one that I want like the figures from. I won't buy it unless it's one of those fancy diorama ones with the black base.
Oh, that's fair.
I bought an Indiana Jones one last year.
Yeah.
Unbelievably good. And I almost bought the Emperor's Throne Room
from
Return of the Jedi.
the one that got announced while we were at Star Wars Celebration last year.
Was it that?
Yeah. Because that's why you remember
God.
they had the massive Lego thing where we held the lightsabers.
Well, I've got it in front of me, and I'll explain this. This will be a fun little clip for TikTok.
There you go.
I've actually got in front of me a little Lego set here. This is for those who are listening. I mean, you can watch now, so no excuses. This is a little tiny little Lego set which has the little Emperor and a little Darth Vader there.
Is that an original Emperor with the yellow?
It's an original Emperor. I believe it's one of the first ever times
one of the
Emperor was
first
released, and
Yeah.
same with Darth Vader. So this is a set called, I believe, Final Duel 1. When Lego Star Wars first came about, they had a few little sets, and they had a little range where they released a scene, but in 2 sets. And that set was £6 or $5.99 in the UK. And the other side of it, you could get Final Duel 2, and it would have the Emperor's sort of lift, and you'd have like an Imperial Guard and a Stormtrooper, and Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And then you'd have 2 sides of it. You'd have 2 little mini plates, which are like really, really small. And you could put them together and make a little scene. They had one for the Phantom Menace as well. And they were gorgeous. One of the first ever sets. And this is the first ever Lego set I owned as a kid.
Oh my god, that's the original one.
So it's the very original
Wow.
Final Duel 1 set that I owned as a kid. The only thing missing is a little plate on top of the chair, but everything else is exactly the pieces that I bought as a kid. No longer have the box or the,
That's cool.
or the instructions, but the thing is there. You can find it now. Brand new, it's probably worth about 80 quid now because it's so
I
old
thought you
and
bought
rare.
it. That's what I didn't realize it was your original. I thought you
it's
bought it.
my original one from when I was a kid. One of the first Lego sets I ever owned. Hugely nostalgic for me. So when I saw that was a thing, I was like, I kind of want to buy it. If I'm going to get a diorama one, I want to get the actual Emperor's little chair and throne room from Return of the Jedi. If I'm going to get a diorama, I'm going to get that one. But I saw that the Lego shop was selling it for £20 more than Smith's Toys Superstores. So I thought, fuck that.
We're going through Lego Star Wars sets. Let me have a think. So when I was a kid, I had Luke's X-wing.
Oh,
I
don't
had
get
that
me
when I was a
started.
kid.
I'm going to start going on a tangent now.
But we dismantled it and put it in my massive Lego box.
Oh, we all have one. We all have a massive Lego box.
We all have one. So currently to this day, off the top of my head, I have BD1 from Fallen Order.
Oh, that's like
Which is
a big one.
Yeah, like it's an actual
cool.
full size one. I've got it somewhere in my room. It's just not built because I haven't got the space for it. I have the final duel between Ahsoka and Darth Maul from Clone Wars Season 7, which is one of my favourite sets I've ever owned. It's tiny.
That set.
It's got the throne. It's got the throne and the glass at the back. You know when she force pushes him out.
Yeah.
And the glass at the back breaks, so you can push him out of it.
Love that.
Has the coffin that he gets put in at the end as well.
Oh.
I
That's a good little
have
set, that.
currently at home the Rise of Skywalker Millennium Falcon that's yet to be built.
What? Millennium Falcon?
I have.
What was that?
I've got the Rise of Skywalker one
Rise
with
of Skywalker?
Finn, Poe. It was around the time when it came out with Finn, Poe, whatever the creature was called.
Whoa. Claude.
What?
Claude? Is it
Is that what it's called?
the slug thing?
Yeah. What? I can't remember.
Claude. Yeah, we finally
Get
got
it.
a Claude reference in. Live slug reaction, baby. Let's go. You got one.
But yeah.
Ladies and gents, we may as well end the podcast now because we've just, this moment, 42 minutes into this podcast episode, we have peaked. And it's just going to get worse from here. We've got a Claude reference, and that's it. May as well fucking end it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to the last episode of Nostalgia Bit ever. Joke, by the way. Keep watching.
Oh, you're retiring. That's what it is.
We can't get any better than that. Claude
You've
reference.
You've peaked.
For me, I've got, I don't know if I've sent you this website before, brickset.com. You can track all the Lego sets you've ever owned.
Oh, really?
Great.
I didn't know that.
We'll talk about this after. It's very good.
Yeah.
I had Tusken Raider Encounter. That was my first set. Like one of the first. I got it after Final Duel, but it was released beforehand. Episode 2, little Anakin Skywalker on a speeder, 2 Tusken Raiders, and a vapor farm thing. A little mini Star Destroyer, a little mini Imperial shuttle. I had Darth Vader Transformation, which was released alongside, I think it was 2005, released alongside Revenge of the Sith, and it was a little chair. You could put Darth Vader in, and you could spin it round, and it would be like the burnt Anakin. So you could sort of do like a little
sick.
thing.
That is sick.
General Grievous chase with General Grievous's little spinning
Did
circle thing, and the
Oh my
giant
god.
animal thing that Obi-Wan rides. Jedi Starfighter and Vulture Droid, Anakin's yellow Starfighter. Ultimate Lightsaber Duel, that was a cool one as well. That was one of the only times the Lego characters weren't actually dismantled. They were fully built and stuck together because they actually were electronic, believe it or not.
What?
It was from a Mustafar scene. It had these platforms, and you basically had these 2 long sort of sticks that you could put the figures on the end of, and you could press a button, and the lightsabers would light up, and you could clash them against each other in the middle of Mustafar. Amazing. I'll show you that later. But
That's sick.
And obviously Jabba's sail barge. That was my big one.
Yeah.
Only recently sold that. I had it, and I had the big Lego box, and I spent a little bit of COVID, and I put all the pieces together and sold that off. But
that's cool.
We could go on all day about this, so let's not talk anymore about Lego.
But no, the one that I was looking at was from Ahsoka, and it was Ahsoka's starship, the red one. It had Sabine in the starship, and then it was her fighting Marek, like when they're on the metal planet. And it was very cool. So that was the one. If they release any of them from Ahsoka, such as like the Anakin and stuff like that, I'd end up buying them. But yeah, that's one I almost bought.
Love that.
I'm conscious for time.
Yes.
Let's talk about Tales. Let's
Tales
talk about
of the
Bad Batch.
Empire.
Let's go anime. Let's go from live action to animated. Let's go to actual Star Wars peak.
What did you think of Tales of the Empire?
It was good. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Tales of the Jedi.
Same.
But I still thought it was good. There was certain sections that I preferred. Like I preferred one half of it over the other half. I wasn't a huge fan of Barris's story.
I'm the other way around, actually. I think for me, I was more entertained by Barris' story than I was Morgan Elsbeth. I think the big thing for Tales, and I agree, it's not as good as Tales of the Jedi, because I don't think either of them top Count Dooku's
stories is too. It's so clear.
Tales of the Jedi.
So clear.
But it's just what Count Dooku's story did for me was it filled in gaps that I wanted to see. It sort of filled in that we had some stuff prior to Phantom Menace, which is always really exciting. Qui-Gon Jinn as a Padawan. The little murder mystery one was quite good because it establishes Count Dooku's loss in faith in the Jedi Council. What we were talking about at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
And then we had the last one, which takes place during the time of the Phantom Menace with Count Dooku and Yaddle and the Emperor, played by Ian McDiarmid, by the way. Again, always lovely when he joins in. And a great fight between Dooku and Yaddle, a really amazing moment, some brilliant music, some brilliant cinematography, just excellent. With Tales of the Empire, I don't feel like I had that same response to anything. I thought the Barris story was okay, and it filled in gaps, but I think it's one of those things because I didn't really care that much about the character. And I thought it was cool seeing Clone Wars style animated stuff in the New Republic era with the Morgan Elsbeth final episode. But I just didn't think I needed to, I didn't care. I think it's good to have that development, to know that she's from Dathomir. Here's how she met Thrawn, here's how she established herself in the Empire. But I didn't care that much. I feel like I don't know too much more about her character other than those specific things. But you know, if I rewatch Ahsoka, I'm not going to like have much more depth. Whereas with Count Dooku, I feel like when I rewatch the prequels now, I have the depth of those animated episodes where I'm like, oh my god, this changed everything. With Morgan Elsbeth, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much what I expected her story to be like. No surprises in there, nothing new. Barriss was all new, but doesn't apply itself outside of those stories. It's very cool to see that developed. But for me, I was sort of hoping there'd be more tie-in. I thought we'd get, because when we see the Inquisitors in that scene as well in the first episode, we see the Inquisitor that Ahsoka kills in the other Tales of the Jedi series.
Marek,
and we see Marek, which is the one from the Ahsoka series. Again, no context as to who they were or why they were important or anything like that. There was nothing between Barriss and Darth Vader, which would have been really interesting storytelling.
That's the thing that kind of gets me, is that I feel like with Barriss' story, there was so much potential, but they just didn't hit it correctly.
No.
Like, the Darth Vader and Barriss thing, and as much as you can make the argument of Barriss, if Barriss finds out that Anakin's Darth Vader, then it's just, it just doesn't make sense. It's like, but imagine having that moment that she finds out or she knows or something like that. Like,
because Vader knows that's Barriss. Like, Vader knows
exactly.
He's not a new person. He still is. He has the memories of Anakin. Like, he doesn't see himself becoming bad. Like, Anakin doesn't like have a sudden realization. Go, oh, I'm going to be bad now, and I'm going to forget all my previous experience. Like, he knows it's Barriss. He has anger towards Barriss. There's no acknowledgement of that. Whether Barriss knows it's Anakin or not is irrelevant. There was no reaction from Vader, and I was a bit disappointed by that.
It's also the fact it's like you can, and I spoke about this with you. You can make the argument that what Barriss did to Ahsoka with her being neglected from the Jedi Order is like one of the main turning points. It's like it's one of the major keystones of Anakin becoming Darth Vader. It's like that's the kind of the beginning of his turn to darkness, when he starts to lose faith in the Jedi Order and what leads him further toward Palpatine. And not having a moment like that, I just feel like it misses. Like, it's cool having her as an Inquisitor. Not that she was an Inquisitor for very long. It's a cool idea, but it's just really, it's frustrating.
Do you know what I would have liked to have seen? I would have liked to have seen either another Tales of the Jedi series or Tales of the Sith. I feel like
Tales of the Sith would be incredible.
I feel like we have to see a Tales of the Sith at some point, because we're getting Acolyte. If Plagueis is in Acolyte, in any degree, it would be amazing to see Ian McDiarmid return to play a young Palpatine training under Plagueis, and see the tragedy of Darth Plagueis play out. I don't think we could ever do it in live action, just because we'd have to recast Palpatine, and I just don't know if I'd want to see that. I feel like there's only one person who can really do Palpatine and sell it, and that's Ian McDiarmid. It's just one of those ones you just can't recast, I don't think. So I'd love to see Ian McDiarmid with a little bit of sort of voice editing to make him sound younger, being that character and seeing that play out and seeing that relationship between master and apprentice. I'd love to see that. Tales of the Sith about Plagueis, great. That would fill in so many gaps in my canon. Other Sith would be interesting as well, like an even older one.
This is the thing, though. Oh, well, yeah, obviously, I think if you do Tales of the Sith, you'd have to go for a Sith that's unknown.
Yeah, exactly, but that'd be fun. I'd like to see that.
Yeah,
I'd like to see how that plays in.
All the other Sith that we know of have a lot of depth of story.
Or let's see Tales of the Jedi Series 2. There's so many Jedi's. Jedi. Yariel Puff, or whatever his name is. Like, I'd like to see that one, like the long neck one, who was killed off screen because he looked too much like what they wanted the Kaminoans to look like between episode 1 and 2. I want to see more. I want to see what happened to him. I'm interested.
I'd like to see another.
He's in the Lego game. Let's see.
Yeah, I'd like to see another Tales of the Jedi series. I think it could be really.
I just feel like they wasted one of the Tales of the Jedi thing on Ahsoka. I love Ahsoka, but I think that it's like, did we need to know where she came from and how she was found out she was a Jedi? Fine. Do we need to see more stuff of her in the Clone Wars? Not really. Did we need to see her fight an Inquisitor? No, not really. I get it. I get why we saw it, and it was cool to see. But like, it's not the same level as Dooku for me, where it's like, this is adding to canon. This is exciting. This is new and refreshing, and just like,
Yeah, I do get that. And the Dooku. When I watched the Dooku thing, I remember watching whatever the first or second episode was. The second episode, and I remember being like, so when does Dooku actually like turn? And I was like, because surely it has to be close to Phantom Menace. And then the start of of the third episode, I was like, wow, like what timing to ask that question.
Qui-Gon Jinn's death. And and that's
just show him there as Qui-Gon dies. It's like, it's nutty. It was such a good idea.
He turns to being a Sith Lord or whatever when he kills Yaddle.
Yeah.
they get
Seeing
found
his
out, and
reaction
he
to
has
Qui-Gon passing away, and
he has that crossroads where
S-tier.
he is like I mean, rewatch that's incredible, but he's like, oh, I could, Yaddle's like, it's not too late, hand yourself in, speak to the council, we can make this right, we can defeat this evil, and Palpatine convinces him otherwise, and he kills Yaddle, and it's covered up. And then going back to what we talked about at the beginning of the episode, Yaddle was killed on Coruscant. Never mentioned again. No question. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. It's cover-ups. Mm-hmm. I think we're fine in terms of Acolyte not breaking canon, to be honest. But
yes,
I'm excited about that. I thought Tales of the Empire was good. I didn't really care much about Morgan Elsbeth, to be honest, as a character. I like her as a character in Ahsoka and Mando.
I enjoyed seeing the genocide of Dathomir stuff with General Grievous. That was really nice.
That was with Grievous. That was really great. But I also
really enjoyed seeing Thrawn. I thought Thrawn's like a minute and a half, 2 minutes he was in it was incredible.
Yeah, incredible. I loved seeing. I did like seeing the Barriss stuff. I thought the Fortress Inquisitorius stuff being built immediately after Order 66, that's super interesting to me. To see how quickly they jumped on that was fascinating. To have more depth for the Inquisitor that was seen in Obi-Wan Kenobi and delve into their character, super interesting. It just adds
even more Grand Inquisitor is quite nice as well, yeah.
Grand Inquisitor, I believe, again, played by Jason Isaacs as well.
I love the Grand Inquisitor. Such a good character.
Was he in this? Was he played by Jason Isaacs?
I have no idea.
He was. So there's a whole thing about this, and it annoys me.
I have no idea.
He was played by Jason Isaacs. Brilliant. Jason Isaacs is a brilliant actor who voiced the Inquisitor in Rebels and in Tales of the Empire, but they did not bring him back for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Instead, replacing him with Rupert Friend, who was fine, but I think it didn't look how it should. Didn't look right. The species didn't look like that. They were established in live action in Revenge of the Sith. I feel like I would have just much preferred to see Jason Isaacs actually reprise that role, as he did here, because he's a bloody talented actor, and I think he would have been brilliant in live action. So what a shame. But oh well, that's that. Bad Batch, you haven't seen...
I've not finished it. You go. Pop off, King.
Can I...
I'll take my headset off if you want. Do you want me to just walk away and you can talk about...
No, I don't think that's a bit of a boring podcast, Cooper. That's just me waffling at that point. Don't let me do that.
That's just Willie Beans.
Okay. You know what? That was good. I'll give you that. That was pretty funny. That was good. That was quick from you. Well done.
I got acknowledgement. Let's go.
There we go. What have you seen? Where have you seen up to?
I think I've seen half of season 2.
Oh.
I think. So I'm not even
Have you seen the Palpatine scene?
Oh, no, I haven't. No, I haven't.
No, if you
that's the back end. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no.
Bollocks.
I think that's the back end. I've not seen it. No.
Season 3 of Bad Batch. I will say my spoiler-free thoughts. I think it's excellent. I think they hammed up the promotion too much a little bit. I think in the trailers and the posters, it's like Asajj Ventress and Palpatine and all this. Palpatine has a very brief scene in like episode 3, and Asajj Ventress is part of one episode, but not integral to the rest of the story. It's great to see Asajj Ventress, but we didn't get much more into her character. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Tales of the Jedi or Tales of the Sith.
Oh my god, yes.
Would be great to see.
Yes. Yes.
But
that would be really good.
I love that, and I love that we got those characters, but I think they hammed that up in the promotion too much and I think they had to because the public sort of attention towards the Bad Batch characters, Omega, it's not been bad, but it's not been as sort of favourable as like fan favourites, right? I would say season 3 cemented all of them as just incredible characters. And for me, and I said this way back when, I said I knew with Omega, I did not like Omega in season 1. I thought she was so annoying. But they did it. They did the Ahsoka thing. They did the Ahsoka thing where Ahsoka was introduced annoying as fuck. And then by the midpoint of Clone Wars, or by the end of Clone Wars, one of the best characters in Star Wars, right? I don't think Omega is one of the best characters in Star Wars because I think they've only had 3 seasons.
Yeah.
But I do think that I am a lot more interested in what they did with her character, the kind of person that she becomes, the kind of things she learns. There is such a clear arc of character development in Omega from the beginning of season 1 to the end of season 3 that I just love it. And the very final ending of season 3,
did they stick a landing?
I think they did. I think they absolutely did. I think there's some stuff I would have liked to have seen more of, but I think in terms of the overall story, in terms of how it fits into the Star Wars canon, in terms of the other stuff that it tries to explore, but in terms of the main characters of Bad Batch and where it leaves them at the end of Season 3 is perfect. And I think absolutely perfect. I would have liked to have seen more setup for other things. I will just say... I mean, this is probably a brief spoiler, but it's a spoiler of something that isn't in Season 3.
No.
In Rebels, we see Captain Rex and a couple of other clones on this sort of deserted planet on like a big sort of walker, and they have an agreement with the Empire. In Bad Batch, we've seen Captain Rex quite a few times kind of combating the Empire and kind of fighting against that. I wanted to kind of see more setup to get Rex and those clones, who I believe have all appeared in the show of Bad Batch at different points, to sort of get to that point or set up that point a little bit more. But maybe there's plans to do some sort of development there, or maybe we
Tales
just
of
have
the
to
Clone
accept...
Troopers, let's go.
Oh, please don't. I feel we've had that enough with Bad Batch. Like, we don't need that.
That's true.
But I think it's good it would have been good to see that, but we didn't get that, and that's fine. But for the most part, I think I really liked what they did with it. And I think Season 1, I wasn't a big fan of it. I sort of lost interest. Season 2, I was like, okay, you've made improvements. You got me. There's some great episodes towards the back end of Season 2 that were incredible. And Season 3, the whole arc is interesting, and the whole development of what's going on there is brilliant. Not to mention starring a Westworld alumni as one of its main villains. Oh, really? Yeah, the guy who plays young William, Jimmy Simpson.
Oh, really?
He plays one of the main villains of Bad Batch.
I loved him in Westworld.
And he's great. And I didn't notice until halfway Season 3 when someone mentioned it on Twitter, and I was like, oh shit, it's Jimmy Simpson. That's great.
He's a great actor.
He's great. And he's excellent in Bad Batch as well. And it's I'd love to see him in live action at some point, some way, shape or form. Or I'd love to see that character reference to return to. But it's one of those like Imperial bad guys who you remember. Distinctive look, distinctive vibe, distinctive mission, works very closely with like Palpatine, very not secretly against anyone in the Empire, but like he has a few interactions with like Grand Moff Tarkin, and Grand Moff Tarkin doesn't know about what this character is working on, and it's supposed to be a big secret, so he's like absolutely hates Tarkin. Love that sort of dynamic back and forward, very similar to like Krennic that we got from Rogue One. But love that. You should watch it if you haven't already seen it. It's a great addition into the canon. That's just General Cooper. I wasn't just slagging you off, mate.
Oh, okay.
But you should watch it. It's sort of like, it's a great addition into the canon, and it sort of answers a few questions and does make some things in the future Star Wars more satisfying regarding cloning and stuff. Yeah. There was a mention in the middle of Bad Batch Season 3 where they name drop midichlorians, and I was just I was a pig in shit. Because they have this sort of thing where they sort of mention it's like they're like testing clone blood, and they're like, this blood has a high M count or a low M count, and I'm like, you better
they acknowledge
you better say what that is. And at one point it's like they're questioning like, what is this M count or like M number or M something, and I'm like, I think I know it's midichlorians, but I want to have it said, and a character does come on screen and go like, they are testing for midichlorians, and I'm like, fucking yes, let's go. I love that shit. I love that connectivity. I love it. It's like, let's not forget, look, it wasn't popular at the time. I love it. I think it's great. I like it. I like the whole midichlorians thing. I like it in Phantom Menace. I don't care. I grew up on that shit. I like it. I'm happy. I love the midichlorian name drop. I thought it was one of the best moments for me where I was like, oh, let's go. This is great. They actually confirmed that they're testing for midichlorians. That's great. I'm waffling now.
No.
Have you got anything to say about Bad Batch? I mean, I know you only haven't finished it, but I think...
Bad Batch, good batch. It's all batch, but yeah, it's... I don't know.
It's batch shit. Anyway.
It's one of those things, it's like, I know when I get around to it. I've not watched it because I don't think it's good. I know for a fact it's good. I know for a fact I'm going to watch it because season 1 alone, like the ending of season 1, had me theorizing out of my arse. So it's
the end of season 1 with the destruction of Camino is phenomenal. Yeah, it's very powerful.
I know it's going to have so much. I think it's one of those shows that will have the most payoff in the future. I think it's one of those like foundation shows that is going to branch, and it's going to have those moments where you go back to it and you're like, wow.
I'm not going to say where season 3 ends up with all of the different characters in the Bad Batch, but there is a sort of implication in there where it's like, whichever other characters may or may not survive, they can do more stuff with them in the future, maybe. And you look at like different characters and you're like, well, where do they fit into the timeline? What are they doing at this point and all that sort of thing? And there's a really that's part of the ending of season 3 is it's a very satisfying kind of conclusion where it sort of says this is where these characters are like in the future of Star Wars. This is where their journey sort of goes to. And it was almost a kind of Rebels-like ending for me a little bit, and I feel like they've really stuck the landing. So I'm very excited to see what you think of that, Cooper, and maybe we'll talk about it on a future podcast. But for now, I'm looking at the time. I
think it's just news time, baby.
Yeah. Before we get into just news, I would like to say, if you haven't seen last week's episode, and you're not familiar with this segment, then this is basically we get a news story, we read it to the other person, and we sort of tell shit jokes about it. And last week we released a sort of best-of compilation of the first 15 episodes of Nostalgia Bit, all of the news segments cut together, the best bits, our funniest moments where we're really, really funny. And
we are really funny.
And we are. Bloody hell, we are. You should go and check that out. It's a really great episode. It's our first proper video one as well, other than the script reading. It's a great little episode. It's a great little compilation thing if you want to see some best of stuff. But every episode, we have a little segment at the end where we read out a funny news story. And today it's Cooper's turn to introduce something to me.
It's my turn. And for the first time, and I tell you, I've been looking, I finally found a funny news story that's on topic. It's a Star Wars funny news story.
You have got to be kidding me. A funny Star Wars news story.
I am not kidding you.
Cooper, this better be good.
Star Wars fans can be funny. You've heard it here first.
Shit. Well, no, they heard it last week, actually. After a fucking just news compilation. Anyway.
Star
Wars funny.
Armed man on Scottish train turned out to be Star Wars Stormtrooper cosplaying. The man has been dressed as a Stormtrooper.
Right. Hang on. Immediately, just... Armed man on Scottish train turned out to be Star Wars Stormtrooper cosplayer. So someone saw this man as dressed as a Stormtrooper and were like, "There's a fucking."
He is armed.
He's armed.
He's got a gun.
Oh my god.
The man has been dressing as a Stormtrooper for 10 years. He wrote on Facebook by Christina Roselle, Fox News, published April 10th, 2020.
Okay, yeah, this is who we stole from today.
Yep. A Scottish man dressed as a Star Wars character caused a brief stir on a train after it was falsely reported that he was armed. Was on the train to Dundee. I'm not doing a Scottish accent. Was on the train to Dundee for Decon in my Stormtrooper costume, wrote a man known as Grampian Stormtrooper on Facebook on April 6th. On the page, Grampian Stormtrooper described himself as a Stormtrooper with a Scottish twist, someone who regularly attends conventions or cons, dressed in Stormtrooper armour and kilt.
Oh, that goes hard. I love that. Good for him, you know? Stormtrooper, make it a little bit, like, sort of...
Scottish.
Yeah, a bit of heritage in there, a bit of kilt going on. I love that.
Decon, where Grampian Stormtrooper was headed, was held on April 6th at the April 6th at the University of Dundee in Scotland, says its website. The train was stopped shortly after it left the station, and a guard came to chat asking about Blaster.
I love that. That's just, you could tell they just interviewed him right off the bat there. Guard came to chat asking about Blaster.
Asking about Blaster.
Lovely.
The guard then asked Grampian Stormtrooper to get off the train for a chat. Apparently, someone reported it to the police. Someone reported it to the police. Train went back to Aberdeen, he wrote. Met by 2 firearms officers, 3 Police Scotland officers, 2 British Transport Police. Had to chat to all of them and then in office. Oh my god, I'm having a stroke trying to read this.
This is
There's
like,
just
why
so
is it
many
such
words
broken
missing.
English in this article? What's going on? I mean, it is written by Fox News.
That is true, but then these are quotes. This is not just the guy writing it on Facebook. This is just the Scottish.
I would rather slag off Fox News than the Scottish population, Cooper. We're trying to build an audience here, my friend. That was an intentional decision on my part. I tried to be discreet about it, but it's all right. No, yeah, it is the Scottish man who's speaking in broken English. Nice one, Cooper. And suddenly, Scottish fans all disappear.
Grampian Stormtrooper was then told to return home for a bag for his blaster.
You're joking.
He also was asked not to wear the Stormtrooper armour on the train.
I mean, that's fair enough. I think that's fair enough because that's a bit strange. Like, I think if you're just sort of popping around on a train and you're holding what looks like a gun in public, you should be careful.
But then does the armour not give it away?
But you shouldn't be expected to know about Star Wars to be
but
like...
That's not the case, though. Like, I'm not being funny.
I'm
okay.
talking, right, like, and no offense to what I'm about to say to anyone, by the way, which is always a good way to start a sentence. I think about some like 90-something-year-old dementia-ridden fuck who just got on the train and is like, like a big, like a ghost because they haven't got their cataracts in or whatever. Is that the right thing? I don't know. Is that eyes?
Contact lenses.
What did I say?
Cataracts.
What's that?
Cataracts is in your eye. The thing that helps you see.
Yeah, their their cataracts is fucked then, and they can't see, and they haven't got their little.
Wait, is cataracts not the thing that you get? It makes you blind.
Okay, right. Well, let's have a look at this. Cataracts. Eyes. What are cataracts? What are cataracts? A cataract is a cloudy area in the lens of your eye. Yeah. Helps you focus on light. Cataracts are very common as you get older. In fact, more than half Americans aged 80 or older have cataracts or have surgery to get rid of cataracts. So cataracts is something you get when you're older. So their cataracts they've got cataracts. Thank you.
They've got cataracts.
Okay, I probably said it wrong. But anyway, they get on the train, 90-year-old, scared, dementia-ridden, can't see properly. They see a sort of blurry white figure with a gun. And it's like, oh fuck. It's like their granddad or something. There's a ghost coming to like haunt them and coming to kill them. Or depending on where you are in the world, going back. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna.
My argument was.
Let's not make that joke. I think maybe.
My argument was going to be is if you see a man in armor with a helmet on, holding a gun, surely you're not going to think that is like.
Depends on where you are in the world, Cooper.
But let me finish. But then you could make the argument that if everybody just turned a blind eye to a man in white armor with a gun, it would be very easy to carry an actual gun if you just wore white armor. So
what you're saying is there's a problem with people who are actually terrorists dressing up as stormtroopers and getting away with it.
What I'm saying is
what you're saying is
stormtrooper with a blaster.
If you wanted to cause some sort of horrible act, you could dress as a stormtrooper and get away with it.
This is not what I'm saying. This is not what I'm saying.
Unless you're in a train going from Aberdeen to Dundee, you could get away with
that one
horrendous act
train
if you dressed as a stormtrooper.
Except on that one train.
It would be like Order 66.
Yeah, it would be.
I hate
literally.
He doesn't actually turn out to be a terrorist, by the way, does he? Because otherwise that's really horribly...
He's not.
Thank God for that.
Crazy world we live in, he said, noting that he had been wearing the costume on trains and buses for 10 years. Oh,
this is where we're going in. It's Fox News, typical. Here we go. Oh, crazy world we live in. Oh, yeah. Typical fucking... Oh, no. Oh, back in the good old days, I could wear a stormtrooper costume and carry a gun in public. Back in the good old days, I carry a few live grenades.
In America, but it's Fox News. You technically can in America. You could wear a stormtrooper...
Could you hold it out, though? Could you carry a gun in... I don't think you can you? You must have to conceal it.
I don't know gun laws. I think it's strange anyway.
It is strange.
I could do it in Grand Theft Auto. So I'm joking.
Brilliant.
The British Transport Police, which patrols the railways in England, Scotland and Wales, confirmed the incident to Fox News Digital.
Great. Glad they got time to do that.
Officers received reports of a man with a firearm entering Aberdeen Station just before 9 a.m. on Saturday, April 6th. A spokesperson from the British Transport Police told Fox... Why are they repeating themselves again? Officers attended...
Welcome to Just News. Welcome to Just News. The only show that really analyses news articles and how badly written some of them fucking are these days.
They've mentioned... They've self-promoted.
This is like the bath bomb one. This is like the bath bomb one. We did that, and they just kept waffling. She bought a bath bomb. Yeah, did she? Fuck me, we've done this.
They've self-promoted for Fox News. Bearing in mind, we are on the Fox News website. They've self-promoted on their own website about 6 times.
Fox News Digital, now available on the internet. What am I talking about? Comedy with George Sheard. Fuck me.
From Police Scotland, and it was determined it was a false alarm. In comments on his post, Grampian Stormtrooper told others the blaster was holstered and he was not brandishing it on the train when the police were called.
Right. He only got it out when the police arrived and were like, excuse me, can you come away? And he just pulls it out and goes... A good soldier follows orders.
Many of the replies to the post were supportive to Grampian Stormtrooper, with one saying the person who called the police had too much time on their hands.
Or had cataracts. We've established this.
Or was a certain female with a name beginning with the letter K. That's the other question.
Well, I think my mum would be greatly offended by that, but that's okay.
That's true. I apologise.
Yeah.
That was a false call from me. From a personal standpoint, anytime I've seen you or anyone else out about in cosplay or even just people rocking their own personal out-of-the-box style, it makes me smile and just makes the world seem like a bright like a little brighter for a while wrote one individual. The
You know
same
what?
person that added, please keep doing what you're doing, which
We
they
need to
put
do-
in block, bold, capital letters
Can we
in
just,
the middle of the article.
Can we just specify as well? This is something we said we were going to do way back when we never did. We need to have a ranking of these stories because one thing I really don't like about this story is that they've got loads of photos of people dressing up as stormtroopers, and it's going,
But not one
the
of
man
him.
on Facebook not pictured. I want to see some blurry
I was really
CCTV
hoping.
of a stormtrooper in a kilt at a train station.
Well,
that would have made this article, and they haven't got it. But instead, they've got block caps and
that's
adverts to
not-
other articles. Yeah, don't click
There's
on.
a video. Yeah, there's a video at the top which I thought was going to be a part of it. It's just not.
No, it's not. It's their headlines.
It's just not.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's fun. I just
thought it was cool. It's a funny story. A man being potentially armed on a train dressed as a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
And it's related to this week's episode.
in
There you go.
in summary, in a word, Cooper, it was summary.
In summary, this person would have had a heart attack
Just
at
in-
Star Wars Celebration.
in one word.
Unbelievable.
Okay, that's good. That's a good word.
There you go. What's your one word?
Cataracts. Anyway,
It's a good word. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Nostalgia Bait. If you've enjoyed, please, if you're on Spotify, leave us a hearty 5-star review.
Woo!
And guess what? I can finally say this.
Oh, no.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel that you're watching this on and leave a like. Is this going on YouTube?
I mean, yeah. Why can you say that now?
Because we've not had it on YouTube before.
Yeah, we have.
Well, yeah, but not the video. It's different. This is my first ever YouTube outro, proper YouTube outro.
Someone did not care about their Interstellar video, but that's fine.
Well, no. Well, yeah, but okay, hang on.
Come on, just do the outro.
No, hang on.
Just do the outro.
Hang on. The Interstellar video was not like it was for a university project. This is for an actual brand we have. I didn't have a brand doing that video. I was nervous doing the intro.
You won't have a brand after doing this fucking video if you carry on with this shit, mate.
He's like, subscribe, please. Form TikTok, please. Please like and subscribe. I'm not being held hostage. Anyway, yeah, if you're listening on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review. It really helps. If you're watching or listening on YouTube, please subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment. It really, really helps. Really helps the algorithm.
does.
I'm saying that as if you know that. See, I
true.
have proof here. We also have a form which will be linked in the description.
Oh wow!
With any topics you want to hear us talk about, any interesting facts, anything like that, please. I don't think we've had any responses to the form yet.
It's all good. I'll have to add the form to the description. Now you said that.
But yeah, form the description. That TikTok, Instagram. If you aren't sick of seeing our faces from one episode, then please go and check them out. You'll see clips. If you're listening on Spotify again, you'll see all our clips. And if you're listening to any of the other ones, check them out on the other platforms. If you're listening on Spotify, hey, go and check out the YouTube. If you're just looking for something to have on the background, you can see our beautiful faces.
Me.
You know, that's what I do.
You know, if there's one thing I could take away from this podcast at the minute is I think I should. You know, in the Oscars where they're like, if someone's doing the biggest moment of their life, their biggest acceptance speech, and the Oscars are like, wrap it up, hurry up.
Anyway,
Thank you for listening.
We'll see you next time.